What's up guys, welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story is called Maintenance Worker, Not Security. This is my first time posting here, but I love the other content and felt my story fit. I wasn't the direct I don't work your lady, as that was my sister, but Karen did think I worked there as well. Sorry it's long, but it's thorough. Backstory. This was over 20 years ago and still has me over tip when I go to restaurants. In my senior year of high school, I worked for my sister's company. She was 10 years older than me at the time, and her husband owned a restaurant equipment service company. My sister was the office manager and as such dresses in more business attire, and her husband was the lead technician. In my early years, I would help out and stock shelves, order parts, and sometimes help out with labor for large jobs. I was an all-state football lineman, just about 6 feet and 300-ish pounds, with a lot of muscle in that bulk. So she liked that I could help carry the equipment around and help with the installs and etc. But she also liked introducing me as her little brother. During my junior year of high school, I went to night classes at the local community college to get my HVAC license, so that I could help them expand their business to include preventative maintenance contracts rather than just repairing or replacing things that were already broken. By my senior year, I was only in school for about 2 to 3 hours in the morning and working 1 to 2 days for my sister. We sold a lot of preventative maintenance contracts to a lot of her regular restaurant customers, and it was my job to perform said maintenance. So I was in the restaurants on a monthly basis, and depending on their contract, sometimes twice a month. I got to know the managers and cook staff quite well at a lot of these places. But the wait comment will lead to another r/IDontWorkHereLady story. Also, I might add, our company uniform was very blue collar. Literally, we wore blue work pants, blue service button-up shirt or blue t-shirt, and the shirts had the company name clearly printed on them. And I normally have a tool belt on, and I drove a full-size work van decked out with all the company details as well that is normally parked outside. Nobody in their right mind would assume I was security or police. On to the story. The cast consists of me, a large teenager in a service uniform, restaurant manager, server, my sister, police officer 1, police officer 2, and introducing Karen as herself. I was working at a restaurant that was about 2 miles from sister's office, and she decided to stop in and see me, as well as talk to the restaurant manager about the preventative maintenance contract and how things were going with it. As a maintenance contractor, I normally knocked on the kitchen door and rarely went through the main restaurant. On this occasion, Sis met me in the parking lot and we went in the back door together and met the restaurant manager at the kitchen door. The restaurant manager invited Sis and I to go have lunch and he'd come and chat with us as his office was small and aside from the desk, there was only one other chair. We entered the restaurant from the kitchen area and sat ourselves. I'm a quick eater and I got paid by the hour and that didn't include lunch. So as soon as I was done eating, I excused myself and let sister and restaurant manager continue their meeting when I went to work in the kitchen. I was about halfway through cleaning the ice machine, trying to get it done between their lunch and dinner rush, as all ice has to be dumped during cleaning, when the Nextel on my hip crackled. Those who may not know about the Nextel, it was a cross between cell phone and walkie-talkie, and could be used either way. Anyhow, I hear the Nextel crackle without the standard etiquette at the time of making it beep first to get someone's attention prior to just jumping in with talking, and normally missing the first part of what is said. It's Sis yelling to bring out restaurant manager to the dining area right away. I hustle towards the restaurant manager's office, located off to the side, kinda between the kitchen and the dining room, and got there at just about the time he is rushing out of the office. I can only assume because he heard the commotion in the dining room. He and I come out the back right after one another to see Karen yelling at Sis, while blocking her into the booth. Karen is saying to Sis, "She is so dumb, she won't get my food! She should be fired now!" "I'm sorry, but like I said, I don't work here," while holding out her business card. "Why do you keep saying that? I know you do. Stop lying to me." "Sorry, ladies. Can I help? What seems to be the matter?" I am standing about 3 feet behind and to the left of restaurant manager with a not very good look on my face and my arms crossed. Karen, while looking directly at me, not restaurant manager, "Good, you need to get her out of here," pointing at sis. "Get her out of my sight." I must have changed my expression from angry she was yelling at my sister to a look of what the fuck? Because she got more angry and started yelling at me. "Are you stupid too? Just do your damn job and get her out of my sight." Granted, I was young and didn't have the best grades, so I was a bit sensitive when I was called stupid. So I puffed out my chest and stepped towards Karen and said, "What the fuck?" Emphasizing the F word. "Did you just say to me?" At this point, restaurant manager put his hand up to stop me, and I had only taken one step closer, so he didn't even make contact with me. "Call the cops! Call the cops! Call the cops!" My look went back to that "what the fuck is going on" look. The manager gestured to sis with fingers to his ear like a phone, and she went to the kitchen. "Ma'am, what is going on? Is there anything I can help you with?" Karen, responding to restaurant manager but pointing at sis, "Leave me alone and let me talk to your manager and take your attack dog with you." We all assumed she was referring to me with the attack dog statement. "Hey John, can you just step back into the kitchen?" I just gave him a look and looked at my sis, who was still stuck in the booth with crazy Karen standing over her. He followed my gaze and looked back at me. "Okay, just step back a bit and see if I can calm her down." I took a few steps back, leaned on the partition wall between sections of the dining room, and recrossed my arms. I should point out that where we were in the dining room was a back section, but there were 2 ways into the section divided by a small half wall dividing booths with an entry on both sides. So I wasn't blocking any access point to the area. Restaurant manager to Karen, pointing at sis, "Ma'am, she is not the manager. I am. What is the problem here?" Karen to the room, "Why is everyone lying to me?" Karen to sis, "What are you going to do about this?" "Ma'am, would you please take a look at my business card? I do not work here." At this point, Karen smacked my sis's hand, knocking the business card to the floor without reading it. "Then why did I see you coming out of the kitchen and meeting with the other employees? Why did you have them sign paperwork if they are not working for you?" "We do maintenance for the restaurant and I was asking restaurant manager to update his contract." "You're lying! You don't have lunch with a security guard and other employees to clean their bathrooms." Sis then got that what the fuck look on her face. Restaurant manager and I looked at each other with that same look. I guess the only maintenance that people think of at a restaurant is cleaning the bathrooms. Haha! "Ma'am, she is a vendor of ours. I am the manager. Can you please stop hovering over her like that?" "Didn't I tell you to leave me alone?" At just about this time, server came back into the dining room, whispered to the restaurant manager, not sure what was said, but I assumed the police were on their way or something to that effect, and just as I expected, the sight of server made Karen go off the deep end, which I didn't realize got any deeper than it already was. Karen turned towards server and took a step in her direction, and as she did, sis took the opportunity to get out of the booth and ran towards me. Restaurant manager stepped between Karen and the rest of us, server, sis, and me, and gestured for us to go into the kitchen. Now, at this, we couldn't hear everything but periodic yelling from Karen, but it gave us a chance to ask server what in the world happened. "She's a whack job and comes in a lot. She always complains and never leaves a tip. This time, she just ordered her normal, and when I asked what it was, she got angry with me." Server went on to say how the lady wouldn't tell her what she wanted, just kept saying her normal food and then threw the menu at her, got up and walked over to sis. A few minutes into server telling us her story, another server came in laughing and saying the cops just showed up. About another minute or so later, restaurant manager came back and said we would need to talk to the cops. As we went out, it would appear that when we came out, and Karen had a few moments with the police officers, her story got even more crazy than I could imagine. Karen to police officer 1, pointing towards me, "That's him! He pulled a gun on me! I want him arrested now!" Police officer 1 looked at me, while police officer 2 started walking over to the group of us that came out of the kitchen. Then police officer 1 looked back at Karen and said, "I thought you said it was a security guard." "Yeah, that one." Their conversation continued, but Police Officer 1 was taking her outside to talk, and we were occupied with Police Officer 2. We spent the next few minutes going over what was going on to Police Officer 2. I admitted to yelling at her and taking a step towards her when she called me stupid, but I was never close to her or even raised a hand towards her. Police Officer 2 kept asking us about a gun, but we all had the same story that nothing like that happened. And I told them I was just about to turn 18 and didn't even own any guns, which was true. Police Officer 2 went outside, and Police Officer 1 and Police Officer 2 were talking for a bit while you could see Karen still ranting. After what felt like another 5 or so minutes, we saw Police Officer 1 turning Karen around and putting handcuffs on her. Then, after they got her in the cop car, Police Officer 1 and Police Officer 2 came back in. It would appear she was supposed to be medicated and hasn't taken her medication. Police Officer 1 asked Sis if she wanted to press charges for slapping her hand, and something else, but I cannot recall, but she said no. I'm not sure what happened to Karen after that, but I do know that ever since this time, I have always tried to treat servers nicely and tip well. Well, that's a great lesson to take out of this. You see, I'm a bit of a naive tipper, okay? Like, I tipped $2 on a $3 drink, and I don't realize it's a bit much until afterwards. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's not like it was a ton of money. I spent $5 there on a drink, but I don't notice these things. I'm so irresponsible. God dang it, take my card away from me. It wasn't even alcohol, that's the thing. It was just tea. This story's called, I Don't Work Here, but I Am Banning You from the Store. This just happened 20 minutes ago, and I'm still laughing about it. I was in the Bullseye store with the red vests and shirts. I was picking up a few office supplies. I manage 3 restaurants, and one of the office's supplies ran low on staples and printing paper, and the supply truck won't be in till the end of the month. I gathered the items I needed and headed to the check lanes. I heard a banshee-like shrill screaming. Hey, you! I'm sorry, my throat's messed up. I look around and this lady has a person who really does work there cornered, and the poor girl looked to be on the verge of tears. Here's the cast. Screaming customer! Real employee? Yours truly. Yes! You! Mr. Manager! Come here and discipline your employee! She refuses to help me and was very rude and called me some very bad names! Now, I have read enough of these I Don't Work Here posts and always wondered why no one does this, so I gave it a shot. Meet a real employee. Is this true? Were you rude to this lovely piece of humanity? Which made her kind of giggle. No, I just told her I'm on my way home. I just finished my shift. If she needs help, she can ask someone else who would be more than happy and clocked in. When I told her this, she reached for me. I backed off. I don't like strangers touching me, and I never insulted her. You called me all sorts of bad words. When I find my husband, he will have you fired if you don't do something about it. Lady, I am the district manager. I will ask you to calm down. If you don't, I am going to have to ask you to leave the store. What? Well, I am just very upset, you stupid F-word. It's been most distressful. In all my years, I have never been treated so horribly. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you aren't settling down, and I am gonna have to ask you to excuse yourself from the premises or be escorted by security. I pull out my phone, speed dial my missed messages. But my husband! Go to the customer service desk, page your husband, and tell him you'll be waiting outside for him while he does the shopping. Now, leave this store immediately. I pretend to call security on the phone. Yes, we have an unruly customer who needs to be escorted from the store. Screaming customer throws what she has on the floor and leaves screaming, yelling, threatening to sue and shut the store down. I turn to real employee and ask if she is okay. She tells me yeah, she didn't know I was in the store, but glad I was. I hope I'm not in any trouble. I just worked a double shift. I just want to go home. I am extremely tired and hungry. Nah, you're not in trouble. I don't even work here. After a second or two, it sinks in what I said, and real employee begins laughing uncontrollably. I told her I manage the restaurant up the street, and she is welcome to come in and have a free meal on my dime. As I leave for the restaurant, I walk through the parking lot and see the screaming banshee customer sitting in a pickup truck on her cell phone. I could hear her muffled screams and crying, and I figure I better get the hell out of Dodge. Real employee did come into the restaurant to thank me. I told her the offer for the free meal is still good. She took me up on it, but tipped the server really well even though it was a free meal. We talked and laughed about the banshee, and she laughed even harder when I told her about seeing her sitting in the truck. I told her this is definitely going on Reddit. Real employee says she loves these posts and will be looking for it. So, hey Kate, if you're reading this, you are Reddit famous now. Maybe someone will turn this into a YouTube video. Hey, what do you know? That just happened. Anyways, that was very kind of you to offer that free meal to that employee who definitely needed that meal after having to deal with that when they're just trying to go home and relax. And even better that she tipped well because she's paying it forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.